Buenas noches, amigos. At the start of my YouTube career, I made a video response to Bill O'Reilly's segment on how he disapproved of a lesbian couple in high school, which was voted Couple of the Year. I made a little video called Gays Make Me Sick, labelled as such to attract fag lovers and homophobes. It was a bit of a view slut move on my own part, but actually it's one of my most popular videos, and I have had some really great comments from Americans who are sick of homophobia and religious intolerance, and a bunch of comments from some pretty nasty people. And I'm going to show Bill O'Reilly's video because I think it really emphasizes just how intolerant religious people are, yet for some reason, because it's as a result of their faith, they can get away with it and it be okay. So strap yourselves in. This is some really nasty shit.
Illinois students at Weehawken High School voted seniors Brandy Johnson and Lupe Silva the cutest couple. So the self-proclaimed lesbians get their picture in the yearbook under the cute banner. At first, school officials tried to ban the category, but finally relented despite a parental objection. Joining us on from Chicago with reaction, Dr. Laura Berman, who teaches psychiatry at Northwestern University. Now, I'm saying this with all due respect to these two 17-year-old girls. I don't want to sound mean, condescending, or all that. I want to give you the thing. I believe, based upon our investigation of this Weehawken High School deal and the picture, and put up the picture again of these students, that the kids voted this couple, the cutest couple, to tweak the adults, doctor, to cause trouble, to make an issue of the yearbook. Now, this happens, as a former high school teacher, I can tell you, every school, every semester. That's what's in play here, in my opinion. What do you say?
Well, first of all, isn't that democracy in action, Bill? What you're always harping on about every 10 minutes, freedom of speech and democracy. Isn't that what these students are exercising? So it's not okay when it's inconveniencing your beliefs, but it's wrong if it does. I don't really understand this. Second of all, this couple isn't particularly attractive. Let's be completely honest. If one of the girls was with another average looking guy, they probably wouldn't have been voted best looking couple or cutest couple, whatever. But because there are two women who are big time in love, and it's something different and something so beautiful, that's why people have voted it in, because who wants to see another beach blonde, tan, freakishly white teeth, Caucasian couple embracing each other because their life's so fucking rosy and sweet, you know? This couple was voted in because they represent something beautiful and different and kind of what love is all about, you know, saying fuck you to the world, we're in love. Isn't that the most beautiful thing, Bill? But no, your stupid ass Christian mind can't see that, so...
You know, yes, kids like to tweak the adults and like to be provocative, and all of that is true. I don't think that this is necessarily completely about them trying to tweak the adults and trying to be provocative. I think this is about, and we've seen this in other high schools as well, it's starting to become at least a small trend, if not a large one, that homosexuality is becoming, thankfully, more normalized, because this is the time in adolescence that kids are exploring their sexuality and, in fact, starting to identify what their sexual orientation
now, you realize,
is.
And you realize that you said, thankfully, that, I don't know, 50, 60% of the country is going to be angry with you for saying that, and here's why. You know, well, don't laugh. You got to respect their point of view. Look, as a medical doctor and a psychiatrist, you have to respect their point of view because it is a valid point of view.
So Bill O'Reilly is saying that even though it's 50% of the population's view, it should be respected. Now, that's not even in the majority, yet for some reason this 50%'s opinion is worth more than the other 50%'s opinion. And I just don't really understand his logic. He seems to think for some reason that because that 50% is Christian and religious, then the other 50% should just ignore their own beliefs because it might offend the other 50%. And this is why I freaking hate religion, because for some reason, whether it's in the majority or the minority, their opinion matters more than the other half, and I just think this is really screwed up, and Bill O'Reilly is basically the best tool you could use to just emphasize how ridiculous people's religious beliefs are and how they're so dangerous, because for some reason they are worth more than those without the same views, and I think that's a very dangerous way of thinking, but for some reason Bill O'Reilly seems to be proud of it.
And let me tell you what the point of view is.
What is the point of view? I'll tell you if it's valid.
High school kids experiment. They experiment all over the place. High school kids,
Sure.
a lot of them are rebellious. They have a chip on their shoulder. They'll do things, as I said, I think this is one of the examples, just to get a reaction, just to rebel. A lot of parents say, listen, we don't want to normalize homosexuality in the public way in an academic setting, high school, among minors. We don't think that reflects how we feel about.
So Bill O'Reilly's like going on this minor thing big time when we're really talking about 17-year-old, 18-year-olds, basically adults, and he has a problem with the indoctrination of them as if they're going to become homosexual just because they heard about it. And I don't know about you, but I've been surrounded by gay people my whole life, and it's just not something I want to go for, you know, it's just not my thing. Yet he thinks that people, 18-year-olds, can be bullied into thinking that homosexuality is okay, and therefore they'll indulge in it. If he's so worried about minors, then shouldn't he have a problem with children being taught about religion? Young innocent minds the age of 5 who have no ability to debate or to critically think are having religion shoved down their throats. For some reason Bill O'Reilly hasn't got a problem with that, yet he hates the fact that 18-year-olds are celebrating a lesbian couple. That seems like such a bad thing, and 18-year-olds are apparently really innocent in his world, but not 4-year-olds who are taught that gay people should be burning in hell. So I just think he's a bit of a nutcase, really. I think I've said that before, right?
About it? Well, for a number of reasons. One, social. It's much more difficult to be a homosexual than a heterosexual in America. 2, religious. There are people who believe that kind of a lifestyle is against their religion, and they pass that on to their children. 3, an exposition of sexuality in a minor, and that's very important, in a minor situation is inappropriate in an academic setting. All of those things are valid, doctor, and they shouldn't be condescended to.
But we're not talking. All of those things may be valid in certain populations, but we're not. Where you're getting stuck is assuming that validating or acknowledging homosexuality as a reality is somehow going to make homosexuality more likely to happen. And what we do know is that homosexual teens are 4 times more likely to be seriously bullied, 2 times more likely than heterosexual kids to be significantly involved in drugs and alcohol and abuse drugs and alcohol, and 6 times more likely than heterosexual teens to have suicidal attempts. And so it's a huge at-risk population. Yes, there is experimentation, absolutely, but it's also very true that many teens are becoming very clear that they are seriously attracted to the same sex, not the opposite sex, and they have nowhere to turn. They have no support system.
I've been very consistent on this since my first book was written. I think private behavior belongs in private settings. I don't think it belongs in the high school yearbook.
But you'd be okay.
Okay, so private opinion shouldn't be talked about in schools, yet you're happy for creationism to be a subject provided by the taxpayer. You think that's okay? This is this thing religious people do all the time. They like to feed you this idea that their beliefs are all cuddly and nice and modest and, you know, yum yum and all that crap. And the other side is just intolerant and divisive. Why is it that gay people can't express themselves, yet religious people can? I don't want religious people to be stopped from expressing themselves in schools. I don't think that things like creationism should be taught, but I think it can be talked about. I think that's okay. The same way I think that homosexuality should be talked about in schools. You know, like Voltaire said, you know, I'll fight for your right to say all the crazy shit you want to do. I mean, that's a more modern take of it, but I like that Bill O'Reilly can say what he wants and look like an idiot. Isn't that the whole point of freedom of speech? If he believes in his beliefs so much truth, then shouldn't he be happy for homosexuality to be talked about because his beliefs are so strong and that they can shoot the idea of homosexuality down? Why can't he just give it a fight? You know, I like the fact that I like to talk about Islam, you know, and how I don't really like it. I don't like Christianity either, obviously, but if my beliefs are so intolerant, shouldn't they be talked about so people who dislike my beliefs can shoot them down? Isn't that the whole idea of freedom? The American frickin' ideology, yet Bill O'Reilly doesn't like it, and it's this religious bullshit, and that's why I don't want to see it coming to this country, because Christians get their asses kicked all the time, yet for some reason a Muslim like Bill O'Reilly, who is probably in the minority, his beliefs and sensibilities are taken very seriously, and I don't want to see the UK turn into America, because I would probably shoot myself if I had to live with a bunch of religious people whose opinions were valued more than mine.
You'd be okay with a cutest couple, heterosexual couple,
I would
though.
be, because that is the norm of society. See, it's the same gay marriage thing. You have a 6% option here. Homosexuals, according to research, are 6% of the population. And
But
if you're a
But since African Americans are a minority, would you have a problem with an African American heterosexual couple as the cutest couple?
Race is not conduct. There's a difference between who you are and what you do, and that is another key.
So you're judging homosexuality.
I'm not judging
conduct.
anybody at anything. I'm telling you that there's a legitimate point of view that, number one, you don't allow sexuality to intrude in your high school yearbook because they're minors.
This isn't about sexuality.
Sure,
this
it
is just a
This
couple.
is a lesbian couple that was voted in
But
there because they're a lesbian couple.
But they're not flaunting their sexuality.
How do you know?
They're just.
Okay, Bill, I half agree with you on this. I don't like it when people flaunt their beliefs and their personality. I kind of think it reeks of insecurity and that they're dying for some recognition from other people. But these two women were not flaunting their sexuality. They were basically just being normal and exercising their love and compassion for each other. If you're so concerned about people flaunting their beliefs, then why is it every single argument in this video has been about your faith and the faith of others? You're happy to flaunt that around, yet when people just want to be themselves, it's not okay.
In love,
wait a minute.
in the picture,
how do you know they're not? You don't know that.
They're not flaunting their sexuality any more or any less than a heterosexual couple their age.
There's no reason why Brandy and Lupe had to declare themselves anything other than friends. They didn't have to do that. They chose to do it.
But they have the same right to do that as any heterosexual couple
It's a matter of appropriateness. That's what it's a matter of. And see, look, you're dismissing all that. Look, I don't want any kid to be bullied. I wrote Kids Are Americans Too for gay kids who are getting bullied. They should read the book to know their rights. I don't want anything like that to happen. But you're dismissing a very legitimate point. This is inappropriate. You do not define yourself in a high school yearbook in a sexual way. Period. You don't do it.
So I assume then, Bill O'Reilly, that last year you made a video complaining about the sexualization of children when the heterosexual couple won cutest couple of the year. I assume you got really worked up then. No? Okay, right. So as soon as a bunch of lesbians win couple of the year, you have a big problem with it. I can't understand how his homophobia is so tolerated, how open he is about it. It's disgraceful. I've always thought that homophobia is just as bad as racism, if not worse. Yet for some reason somebody can say something remotely racist and be castricized for it, yet somebody can say something blatantly homophobic and it doesn't seem to be much of a big deal. And again, it's probably because it stems from a religious belief and thus it's okay, isn't it? You know, I don't understand this crap. I have kind of hijacked this gay issue and turned it into a religious one, but I think that a lot of homophobia does stem from religious beliefs, and until homophobia is treated with the same kind of disdain as racism is, places like America are fucked. They're not going to move into the 21st century. I made this video because, again, I've had this Gays Make Me Sick video that I did, and plenty of Americans talk about how their country is going to hell because homosexuality is being tolerated, when really the fact that homophobia is tolerated is the reason your country is going to hell, and it's going to stay in the 1950s where people like Michelle Buckman fucking think it deserves to be. So yeah, I'm sorry that I turned this from a video about homophobia, because the gay cause is one I'm very passionate about, and I think that gay is the new black. We need to treat homophobia the same as we do racism. But religion just needs to shut the hell up, and I do not want to see England turn into America with religious people, because like I said, Christians don't get listened to in this country, but for some reason a Muslim minority gets a hell of a lot of respect, and their beliefs, which are as tolerant as Bill O'Reilly's, seem to be fucking accepted, and I don't want to see that shit anymore. So Bill O'Reilly and you religious bastards, go F yourselves and try sucking some cock. You might like it.